Hello? Okay, I'm trying to get this situated. I'm like, the sticky thing that I put on there to hold my camera in place, it's like been melting all summer. And so it's so gross. Anyway, how are you guys doing today? Happy Saturday, it's my Friday. It is 8:46 p.m. Alex just got off work about a half an hour ago. We were just gonna watch a movie tonight because he has to work tomorrow morning. But we were talking on the phone, and he was like, Liliana, my sister-in-law, said, hey, do you guys want to come over? Carlitos wants to see you guys, my nephew. So we're like, yeah, sure, let's go over there. So we're going over there instead. And then Alex has a barbecue tomorrow night. I may go to that. I may go to it just for a little bit, and then I'm going to do a live stream tomorrow night, because I said I was going to live stream every night, and I haven't done that. La Croix. So anyway, I have been meaning to take some books over to Sebastian and Carlitos, because they love to read. Well, Sebastian loves books read to him. Carlitos is learning to read. And being that Carlos and Liliana, their first language is Spanish, Carlitos actually, he's 5, gonna be 6, he speaks better English than they do. Well, Carlos speaks English really well. So, I am taking them one of my all-time favorite books from when I was a kid, Corduroy. So I'm taking this to them. And then I got these Richard Scarry books, because I had them when I was a kid. This one is Hop Aboard, Here We Go. And if you've never seen like Richard Scarry books, they have like, so they like show like what the thing is, and then they like, they explain, like, so each of this is like, a pickup truck is handy to have on a farm, and so like it shows what a pickup truck is. So it's a good way for them to learn words. And then this one is really great, and I love this. This was my favorite, like, one as I was a kid. Hey, how are you? Don't bend over too far. Don't bend over too far. Bye, Laura. She was out there in a dress, and she was like getting her mail, and she was like, like bending over. Richard Scarry's best word book ever. And I actually just talked about this on my BookTube channel. And so anyway, it has like, look, it has like every bird in the entire world. And then like it has everything like about like different like firemen and women. And shapes and sizes. And then it has all this kind of stuff. Work machines, things we do, when you grow up, different careers you can have. And it shows like all these different, like at a birthday, like there's cake and there's this and all kinds of stuff. So, and then there's like Halloween and Christmas. And so he can learn words that way. So, yeah, I'm taking those to them. And let me text my husband and tell him that I'm on my way. I said I was going to leave a little bit ago, but... Okay. I just had to change the lights on our house because they were all burnt out. And the neighborhood association is supposed to change these by our garage, which they did, but the ones like by our house, they don't do, so I changed those. Anyway, here we go. Over the river and through the woods to my in-laws' house we go. That's me in the corner. I sang that today in my video. This will be fun, just to kind of hang out. I wrote forever today. I wrote for like 4 hours straight. And then I came home and I got so much accomplished today. I was telling Tanya on the phone, I was like, I feel like I get more accomplished like when I'm busy. And so then after that, I came home and I made my videos, and then I went to the post office. I think I took it in the house. I got a really nice letter in the mail from Joseph, it was like this really nice card, and he's like, you know, I watch all your videos, blah, blah, blah. So thank you, Joseph, you were so supportive. And yeah, I think that's it. Oh, darn it. Somebody emailed me about somebody's birthday today. I'm gonna have to pull in here in the gas station in a second and figure out who it was. Or maybe when I get to my in-laws' house, I'll just look on the phone when I get there, and then I'll talk about it later. Because there was somebody that I was supposed to say a happy birthday to that watches my vlog. And when I got it, I was like, oh my God, like I get a lot of requests from people, like a lot. Like, will you shout me out on my birthday? Or will you shout out so-and-so on their birthday? And it's like, it kind of reminds me of, I forget to do it is the thing, so I apologize, but it kind of reminds me of like Good Morning America. You know, back in the day, when they would always have like, and Judy Smith is turning 103. So I love that. It kind of cracks me up from back in the day. And then I fed the dogs, I took the dogs out, and I talked to Tanya, watched my videos back. Yeah, and now I'm here. I was gonna do a live stream and go swimming tonight, but I'd rather see my in-laws anyway. They're so busy because the kids always have so much to do. And we don't really live that, I mean, we live close to them, but not really that close. I mean, it's like a 20-minute drive to get there, so. My husband scheduled a doctor's appointment to go to the doctor next week because his back is hurting him so bad. And it was something about like a pinched nerve or something the last time that he went. And they gave him all these exercises to do, which he did for a really long time. And as long as he was doing the exercises, it didn't hurt, right? Well, he stopped doing them. And now his back is like hurting him a lot again. And so he's going to the doctor next week. And then Tanya found out some stuff about her foot today. And so she's kind of like at the end of her treatment. She said her foot feels a lot better, but yeah, so she got some hopeful news from the doctor today about that too, so. A lot of sickness around me recently. Okay, I'm gonna pull in here and park at the gas station because I would like to see who it was. Oh, he's getting a movie ready for Carlitos. I guess Carlitos wanted to watch some movie, and so Alex is helping them figure out what it was or something. I don't know. God, all my phone is thumbnails. Oh, here's a picture of Pee-Pee. He was sitting in the bathroom. He likes to sun in the bathroom. Do you guys take pictures of your dogs? I do. Where is it? I know I screenshotted it because I wanted to. Oh, now I'm like into screenshots about my Elijah Daniel video. So I'm probably way past it. Hold on a second. Here it is. So, I'm going to pronounce this name. I hope I pronounce it right. Charlie, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Charlie. And thank you for watching all my vlogs. Happy birthday to you. And thank Rudy, because he was very nice to reach out to me and say happy birthday. So anyway, Charlie, I missed your birthday. Your birthday was today, so you'll see this tomorrow. But I actually meant to do it yesterday, so I apologize. I think you said on here, yeah, her birthday is the 10th. So I'm really sorry that I didn't shout out happy birthday to you yesterday for today's vlog. I meant to, that's why I had it screenshotted. But I hope you had a wonderful birthday anyway. And yeah, so birthdays are fun, aren't they? I love birthdays. I didn't really care for birthdays so much, but now I think like birthdays, you know, you have to do something fun. You want to see what an Indiana summer looks like. I know I show this all the time, but like this is truly like, look. There's the Indiana summer for you. See how beautiful it is? And there's the Dairy Queen. Which is always a long line. Get it, that motorcycle, get it. Okay. Now I've got that stuff all over my hands again. Ugh. I wish this would like, it's showing like, just like from here up. It feels so funny. It is a nice night, it's 83. It doesn't feel hot though. Like the clouds over here look like cotton candy. Pink and blue. Do you love cotton candy? The state fair is going on right now. We usually always go to the state fair. It's like one of my favorite things to do. It's like real nostalgic for me. And I want to go, but the thing is that I'm trying to kind of watch what I eat right now before we go to Vegas. And there's no way that I can go to the state fair and not eat. Plus, I will tell you this, the state fair is an incredibly hard place to be a vegetarian. And I'll feel even worse about things going to the state fair and seeing people carry around turkey legs and eating big tenderloins and all that stuff. I don't know that I can handle it right now. But I will tell you that if you go to the state fair, a little unknown fact is that one of the greatest places at the Indiana State Fair is the Milk Barn, okay? And they have the best grilled cheeses and milkshakes that you have ever had in your entire life. I mean, they are so good, right? And you know I love a good grilled cheese sandwich, so Alex and I were, today we were booking shows. I booked 2 shows and we're going to see a DJ on Saturday night. We're probably gonna go out to like the gay bars on Friday night with our friend, his friend from college, Eric, that lives there. And then we have one night completely open where we just, I don't know, hang out, go out to dinner or something like that. Saturday night that we're there is our anniversary, so Alex is picking out a place. He's in charge of our anniversary night. I was in charge of like scheduling the shows and stuff. And not only this, but like one of the shows that I scheduled, I thought he's never seen it, right? Well, I forgot that like 3 years ago, he went out with his friend Sarah to Las Vegas for her birthday, and they went and saw a show, and they went and saw the show that I got tickets for, so I'm trying to surprise him a little bit. This is like the Vegas trip to end all Vegas trips, let me just tell you, okay? I am so excited. We are 5-starring it all the way. It's our 10-year anniversary. We wanted to be somewhere like Fiji for our 10-year, and it just didn't happen, so I'm like, let's go do it up in Vegas, you know? He doesn't like to gamble at all. So there probably won't be a lot of gambling going on. I mean, maybe like late at night if he goes to bed or something, but like me staying at the Cosmopolitan, but I mean, he doesn't like, for us to like walk through a casino, he would never give me like an hour. He'd be like, no, I don't want to stay here for an hour, you know? Which is cool. I mean, when you go on a trip together, you have to kind of like decide. I don't know, the last time we went together was the year we got married. Like, he gambled for a little bit, but it was funny because we gambled together at Mandalay Bay, which is where we stayed the first 2 nights. And Alex, like right away was on this penny machine, and he was like hitting all this money. I mean, he got like $600 or $700 like within like 20 minutes, right? And he goes, I'm going upstairs, I'm taking this. Because it was literally on like $20 he had put in the machine. And I go, what do you mean? That machine is hot. He goes, no, I'm gonna take this up to the room. And I go, you need to play just like $20 more on it. Plays like $20 more, he wins like $200 more, right? So he was like, I'm taking this to the room, I'm not gonna lose this money. I'm like, because I like to gamble. So he takes it to the room. He ended up buying like, we don't gamble a lot. Like like every trip I've ever been to Vegas, and I've probably been to Vegas like 6 or 7 times now, I haven't really gambled a lot. I mean, it's so everywhere that, and the other thing is there's so much other stuff to do in Vegas, you know what I mean? Like I like gambling there a little bit, but like there's just so much stuff to do that it's kind of like an afterthought, for me at least, and I'm a person that, you know, likes to gamble. But anyway, so he ended up buying like a pair of diesel jeans and some underwear and stuff like that when we were out there. He was like, I'm shopping on this money that I want. I was like, all right. But then we went to the Cosmopolitan, and my friend Heather and I one night, my other friend Heather, that was out there for our wedding, Alex was doing some stuff with his friend Sarah and like another friend from college. So Heather and I went down to the casino, and we were like gambling on penny slots, okay, playing max bet, which I think was like $1.50, and I won $2,300. And I was like, oh my God. And that was literally like the second night that out of 11 that I had gambled, and that was like at the end of our vacation. I think it was like that Sunday. No, it was like that Saturday after we got married, because Heather flew out that Sunday. And but yeah, the times in the past that I've gambled have really only been like in old Vegas, like at the Golden Nugget in Margaritaville and the Four Queens and stuff like that. To just walk through these like major hotel casinos, like, you know, the Caesars, New York, the Bellagio. That's not true. I played at the Bellagio with Heather too. Or maybe that was the same night. Maybe we walked over there, because she likes to play blackjack at the Bellagio. And I play blackjack. I like to play blackjack too. But anyway, God, the sky's even more beautiful over here. So we got all kinds of stuff planned. I'm super excited about it. We got shows. We got hotels. We'll probably, I don't like love to do shopping out there, but we probably will do a little bit of shopping. He'll want to. We're gonna meet up with his friend. We're gonna meet up with his cousin Maya, who lives out there, and we're gonna go see a DJ. I want to see Nora and Pure. I think we're trying to get into Cascade. So it'll be fun. We're gonna, I mean, obviously lay out at the pool during the day. That's what I'm most excited about. That's what I love to do, is just like lay out by the pool during the day, you know. In Vegas in August, I mean, it is literally like 100 degrees. I can't wait. So. I should have brought my big bottle of water. I don't, like this sparkling water, I don't know what I think of it. My mom only went to Vegas ever once. I think she would have liked Vegas. She and her mom and stepdad and my aunt drove out. My mom's stepdad was from like Newport Beach, California, and so they drove from Indiana out there one summer, and there's like pictures of my mom and my aunt in Las Vegas in like the late 50s. They're very cool pictures. And I just think it's funny to think like of them taking like a road trip out there, you know, back then, like in the 50s. She said it took them forever, and they were like out in California for a couple days, and then they came back.
Turn left.
He has the car. Did you hear that? It went turn left. I need that kind of GPS. This guy right over here, he's like, has this one of those loci bracelets. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, I bought some of those. Oh, no, it's not. I bought some of those, and they didn't fit my wrist. They were so small, I couldn't even get them on my wrist. I have kind of a big wrist. I have like fat fingers and a big wrist. When you're fat, do you gain weight in your fingers and your wrist? I don't know, maybe you do. Because I feel like my watches used to fit better than they do now. Anyway, well, I'm gonna listen to a little bit of music, and I will be back later. Bye. So I left my in-laws' house. Alex is still there. Because Carlitos is watching some Power Rangers movie or something is what he wanted. And I'm going to pick up Tanya for a fountain pop, because she's like, she wants somebody to come and take care of her, so, because her foot hurts. So I'm taking her, what did I just hit? So I'm taking her to go get a fountain Coke. Oh, not a fountain Coke. I just hit something over here. I don't know what I hit. There it is, it went off. Anyway, so yeah. They were eating. I wasn't really hungry, so I didn't eat. Yeah. Carlos was sleeping, so it was Liliana and the kids, and then Alex's mom and grandma came over, and we hung out for a while and just kind of talked and stuff like that. Everybody was really tired, so I took them the books. They were real excited about that. Liliana was really, really excited about the books. And, yeah, that's about, you know, that was it. That was the excitement of it. It's nice kind of just hanging out with family, you know, and, it not being a whole lot deeper than all that, you know what I mean? It's nice. Just having a relaxing Friday night. I'm so chill tonight. It's funny because, like, back in the day, I feel like, you know, on Friday and Saturday nights, I always felt like I had to be doing something. There was always, like, something that I had to be doing, and I just don't feel like that anymore, you know? In fact, I enjoy my weekends more when we don't, like, have to do a whole lot, or if we just have brunch, or, you know, maybe, like, a cookout, like tomorrow night if I end up going to that, or something like that. But, you know, nothing, like, major. Like, I enjoy all that. And why wouldn't I? Because it's a fantastic life. I need to wash my hair. Look at my hair. I haven't really listened to a whole lot of Audible today. I wanted to listen to more of the Harry Potter, but I haven't really listened to it, so. Somebody's texting me like crazy. My phone's going off. It's still warm outside. It's 80 degrees, but it's like I said earlier, it's not like hot. It's like, there's like a nice breeze going around. Oh, they arrested somebody. The lights are going off. The police are out tonight. You better be, buckle up for safety. Don't drink and drive. I remember I was like 10 years sober. I used to like always, like, this is so bad, but like I wanted to, like, back in the day, like, you know, because I had like DUIs and stuff, I wanted to get like pulled over and have a police officer ask me if I was like drinking and be able to say, no, I'm sober, and it never happened, right? And then like, I was like 10 years sober, and I had worked out at the gym, and I was on my way home, and I like came out of the gym, and I was sitting at a stoplight, and I like turned, and this police officer was behind me, and I could kind of see him, and I had a taillight out, and I didn't know it, and so he pulled me over. He was really nice, and he said, I have to be honest, like, even when I was arrested, and you guys all know my story about the, you know, can you walk it, I can vogue it line. I've told that story on here before. You know, when the police asked me, can you, if I could walk the sobriety line, and I said, walk it, I can vogue it. Which they read in court, and my dad goes, oh, Jesus. But anyway, every police officer I've ever had, you know, that arrested me or that I've encountered, you know, just, you know, since I've been sober, I've worked with so many police officers, too, through the years. My experience has always been that they've been very nice. And, but that's just my experience. From my point of view, that's all I know, you know. But he pulled me over, and he came up to the car, and he was like, have you been drinking tonight? And I was like, nope. And I had my coin sitting right here, and I gave it to him, and I said, or I didn't give it to him, but I held it up, and I go, this is my 10-year coin. I've been sober for 10 years. He's like, oh, congratulations, that's great. He's like, so you haven't been drinking tonight? And I was like, did I stutter? Isn't that from some movie? Did I stutter? Is that from Breakfast Club? But no, I didn't say that. I go, no, I've been sober for 10 years. I said, my sobriety date is December 17th, 1994. He goes, oh, okay. Congratulations, he said again, or something like that. He said something, way to go, or something. And he goes, well, your taillight's out. And I go, it is? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, I'm gonna have to give you a citation for that. I was like, God, my sobriety didn't even work. So anyway, but I've gotten pulled over other times, and just gotten warnings, you know, for having a headlight out. It's always like my lights. I just don't keep up on my lights very often. Or like it'll go out, and like that exact night that like it goes out, like I get pulled over. And what's interesting about that is, with my car, somehow, like when one light goes out, you can really tell driving it. Like you need to have both lights. Like one light out, it's hard to see. And I kind of have them staggered, so like one will go out, then I'll go get it fixed, and then like 2 weeks later, the other one goes out. Tanya's always like, why don't you get them replaced at the same time? I said, because I'm afraid that they're both gonna go out at the same time. Like, that's scary, you know? Anyway. They have this thing here at Conner Prairie. Conner Prairie is like a prairie settlement. And they have this thing called Symphony on the Prairie on weekends during the summer. And it's like always something different. And they have fireworks afterwards. And they have all these police cruisers right here that are like manning the traffic as all these people are leaving. Now they're all going to go home. And they feel very prairie-ish after their Symphony on the Prairie. I think if I've gone, it's been like one time when I was like in high school with my mom or something. I said something to Alex about going, and he was like, well, who would we go with? And I said, you'd love it. People take like bottles of wine out there, and you can take like picnic dinners, and you go with like, you know, friends, and you just sit there and listen to the symphony, and on and on and on. And he's like, oh, okay. We always say we're gonna do stuff like that, but we don't. There's like the art museum, they show like movies on the big screen and stuff like that, and I've wanted to do that. I used to do it when I was a kid with my mom. And her friends, like we'd go, like all the kids would go and all the moms would go, but we haven't done that in forever. Well, I mean, obviously my mom's been gone for 10 years and we didn't do it before then either. My mom and I always talked about doing it, but it's kind of like when I was growing up, it was this kind of like thing that like, you know, like park services put on, they do a lot of that kind of stuff. But now it's like this very bougie thing. Like people get very dressed up and go do it. It's not like it was when I was growing up, you know, where people just wore like jean shorts and, you know, took a picnic back. I think you can't even take the food out there anymore. I think you have to buy the food from their concession stands, which are like very like high-end concession stands, like chicken salad sandwiches and big like dill pickles. I don't think it's like how it used to be when I was growing up, where you could just like, you know, take your own peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and a thermos of soup kind of thing. We used to do picnics a lot when I was growing up. I have my mom's picnic basket in the basement. I always think it'd be fun to do a picnic until it comes down to like doing the picnic, and then I'm like, let's just go through fast food or get a pizza. But I do love the idea of picnics. One year, my aunt and my cousin were out of town for Mother's Day. I think I shared this on here. This is like one of my favorite memories with my mom. And we packed a picnic basket. I got like sandwiches from like Trader Joe's or something. And then my mom made, because this was before Whole Foods, and my mom made homemade potato salad and homemade lemonade, and we bought lemonade in bottles or something. I don't know, we had lemonade out there. And we packed all kinds of stuff, and then my Uncle Dave went with us, and it was the three of us, and we actually went to the art museum. The art museum in Indianapolis has beautiful grounds. And we sat out there, and we brought a blanket, and we had a picnic, and we walked around and looked at the grounds and stuff. It was amazing. So anyway, all right, well listen, I'm almost at Tanya's. She's been sitting around since she got home from work. This was her first full day back at work on her foot. And she was like, she had a day. She was like, oh my God, my foot is killing me. And she's like got in this boot, so she's having a really hard time. You cannot tell Tanya not to work, okay? So she's probably shouldn't be on it as much as she is, but she is, so. I have a feeling she probably won't want to be on the vlog tonight because she's been on the couch since I talked to her last. So I'm going to get off here, and if she does want to be on the vlog, we'll vlog, and if not, then I will talk to you guys later. I love you. Bye. I'm back. Tanya didn't want to be in the in the vlog, so we drove around for a second. And I got her a fountain Coke and I got a bottle of water, but her foot was really hurting, so I took her home, and then I went home, got there at the same time that like Alex got back, kind of, and he had taken the dogs out, given PB his medicine and stuff, so we just kind of hung out and talked for a little bit. And then he went to bed because he has to get up real early, and so I was like, well, I'm gonna go vlog, and then I'm gonna listen to my audiobook for like a half an hour, and then I am gonna go to bed. It is like 1:40 right now. I'm not gonna stay up super late tonight. I mean, you guys are probably like, well, Peter, that's super late for a lot of us. But I wanna be in bed by like, I don't know, 2:30 or 3. I can sleep in a little bit tomorrow. So, that's about it. And I was gonna do a live stream tonight, and I didn't end up doing it, so I'm gonna do it tomorrow night. I gotta decide if I wanna go to this barbecue or not. Listen to the street, isn't it nice? These people are laughing over here. Did you ever drive by houses and like because I drive around listening to audiobooks, you know, I always see like people like moving around in houses or like standing in their kitchen talking. You ever wonder about other people's lives? Probably, which is why you're watching my vlog. You're kind of stalkerish. Could you back up, please? When I used to do assessments and I would drive like through the country a lot, because a lot of these like detention centers that I would go to in jails, they weren't off like main interstates, so you had to like take like little byways and highways to get there. And I would always like hold on a second, I'm so tired of this thing, like why won't it, maybe I just need to sit up higher. And so, you know, you would just drive through these like, you know, towns that were like nothing was there, or just farmland for days, and then you would see, you know, all these like farmhouses just sitting out in the middle of nowhere, these little houses out in the middle of nowhere. And I can remember, you know, that's how I used to get a lot of ideas for books, and I would just like drive through there, and I would think to myself, like, I wonder what's going on there. I'd come up with these ideas of, you know, books and stories, and I think like I just, you know, grew up with like having that imagination in my head that when I drive around and I see stuff, I'm always kind of like I talked about Instant History that my friend Kim and I used to play back in the day. We would play this game Instant History where we would like point out people on the campus, and then we would be like, okay, Instant History, and then you had to like come up with what, like who they were and what their background was and stuff. It was fun. You know, I don't know that I've put, you guys are gonna be like, yeah, you did it 5 times before. I don't know that I've put any chapstick on today, or any lip balm. I'm afraid of like squeezing it out and it'll be like real liquidy. Oh, there it went. You don't need a lot of I mean, these little tubes last forever. You don't need a lot of them. See, it's like all liquidy. Look at that. I had a paper towel in here. Where did I put it? I have napkins from Starbucks that I got. Did I go through them already? I have like this wadded up paper towel in here from Starbucks. I think I may have put a piece of gum inside of it. I wanted to go to the library today and I didn't end up getting there. People are laughing at me for really enjoying Harry Potter. What's your deal, folks? My 2 goals that I want to achieve by like the end of winter next year is I want to read all the Harry Potter books, which I have scheduled, and then I want to see all the Star Wars movies. I've never seen, like, I've seen the very first Star Wars. I went with my dad. It's like the weirdest thing. Like, I remember, and it came out, like, I think in 76, which means I would have been 4, 75 or 76. I didn't realize that Jaws came out in 75, which means I was 3 when it came out. And I have this memory of, like, standing in the parking lot with my dad, and I had on, like, a Star Wars t-shirt, and my dad and I went and saw it with like another dad and his son, but I have no idea who the other person was. But I kind of remember like standing in the parking lot before we walked into the movie theater. I don't know why I remember that, but I do remember it was like the Glendale movie theater too, which means nothing to most of you, but Glendale used to have 2 movie theaters, and it was like it only has 1 now, and it's where the one that is still there still exists. It was like the back, like the one that was in the back. I don't know how I remember that. But I don't remember much about like the Star Wars movies other than just like, you know, what you hear in pop culture and stuff like that. And I have so many friends of mine, it is so hot. I have so many friends of mine that love the Star Wars movies that I feel like I have to see it. I've also never seen the Godfather movies. My mom loved the Godfather movies. And I remember like when I saw Casino, because I loved Casino with like Sharon Stone. She was so good in that movie. And my mom was like, if you love Casino, you have to see the Godfather movies. She was like, Diane Keaton is so good at it too. I've never seen him though. Isn't that crazy? Years ago, when I worked in treatment, like, patients loved the movie. Here are the movies, like, if you ask somebody, like, what their favorite movie was, they would say Scarface or The Matrix. I always thought it was weird that they came up with The Matrix. The girls always said The Notebook, which I've never seen The Notebook all the way through. The Matrix I've seen, I think it was way over my head and I didn't understand it. And Scarface, after years of having never seen it, I finally just one day broke down and like watched it at home, and I so was like not interested in it whatsoever. It's just like, it's not my kind of movie. I thought Al Pacino was great in it. Michelle Pfeiffer was good in it. I just wasn't real interested in it, you know? Like, those drug lords movies, like, don't do a whole lot for me. Now, I will tell you a movie, like a drug movie that I love is Rush, that has all the music of Eric Clapton, and it's with Jason Patric and Jennifer Jason Leigh, and they're like DEA officers that get hooked on heroin. It's a really, really dark but great movie. I actually think it might be based on fact, but I don't know. I could be wrong about that, but it's really, really good. If you haven't ever seen it, and the Rush soundtrack, I have it all and like downloaded on my iTunes on my phone. The Rush soundtrack is fantastic. Eric Clapton like did all the music for it, and the thing in it, what's the song? Tears in Heaven or whatever that song is on it. But I think that's about his son that died, but the rest of it is all instrumental, and it's really, really good. If you've never heard it, you should check it out. God, McDonald's smells so good. I haven't had McDonald's, so long. I'm passing like all the fast food places. McDonald's, Wendy's, what was the other one? There was another one. Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut? I could go for a Pizza Hut right now, God. Do you want to hear a little news? I fasted today. I actually made it through the whole day. Well, as of right now. But I started last night at midnight, and it is currently, you know, what? 1:49, so I have fasted for 24 hours. I wanted to kind of do a physical and a spiritual kind of like cleanse. I do that, you know, probably once every 3 or 4 months. I do that, where I only drink water, and like I'll have like one coffee and then I just drink water. And it kind of started out of this a long time ago when I was like running and working out and stuff a lot. I did intermittent fasting, and I would have like one day where like was my cheat day, and then the next day I would fast, and then the next 5 days I would eat a certain amount of calories. And I really liked the structure of it. But one of the things that I found out, my doctor approved it, so I mean, as an epileptic, I always have to have my doctor check stuff out. But what I found was that by fasting, and don't fast unless you've been doctor approved. Okay, I'm just gonna put that out there. But because it's dangerous for some people. What I found out for me personally was that it felt not only physically cleansing, because I would feel lighter, and I would only do it for one day, but I would feel lighter, and you know, it would make me like kind of want to eat healthier after that. But the other thing that it did on like a spiritual level, and you know, a lot of people do like religious fasts and things like that. It wasn't a religious, it was a spiritual fast for me. But I would focus much of that day on like meditation and prayer and things like that. I wouldn't say that today I did a lot of that. I did a lot more meditation than I typically do in a day. And I kind of looked at my life as where it is right now and what I want going forward. And, you know, when I look at things like positivity, compassion, those kinds of things, kindness, tolerance, love, I really asked myself questions like, are you doing this? I did a really kind of like an inventory earlier in the day. I waited until I got my videos done, which was interesting because I kind of wanted them done so that I could kind of just sit there and be like, okay, there was like no disturbance, you know? And I'm glad I did it. Like, I feel like I'm ready for the next stage of my life, if that makes sense. I know it sounds weird. It's like I didn't know it was coming, but like to some degree, I feel like I'm kind of ready to go forward with something. And I think also that like writing my book has been really cathartic for me. And I don't know, it's been a long day. Like I wrote a lot today, like 3.5 hours or something, and then I did that. I didn't spend hours doing an inventory. I mean, I just kind of sat down with a pad of paper. I actually, in the background, you know, you were so funny, was I wanted to watch a shark movie, but like every shark movie on the cable is like, you have to pay for all of them. So I watched this shark movie that was like on Sci-Fi, and it was like this octopus shark. Have you guys seen this? It was like this shark octopus deal, and it was like attacking people. It was like, the special effects were horrible. But anyway, I watched that. It was called something really weird. And Conan O'Brien was in it. Anyway, I had it on in the background while I was like doing, that's how spiritual it was, while I was doing kind of my inventory. And I just kind of like looked at every area of my life, you know, and I like, you know, from YouTube to my writing to different things, you know, my career, different things, and my sobriety network, my support network, my marriage, my personal relationships, you know, everything. I looked at all of it to kind of see where I was and where I wanted to be and where I wanted to go, you know, between now and the end of the year. And it was really healthy for me to kind of look at it and like purge some of that out. I talked to my sponsor for a really long time tonight on the phone. She's at her daughter's bachelorette party for the weekend, and she was like, no, I can talk as long as you want it. She's like, you're getting me away from it for a second. I said, okay. So we talked for a little bit, and I kind of went over some of the stuff that I had inventoried with her, and that was like super, super helpful. She's so awesome. You know, when you wake up and you realize that the people that are in your life are the people that are in your life, you know, for a reason. But they're also people that you want there for a lifetime. Like, that's a pretty... that's a moment of feeling content, you know? That the people that you have in your life at this exact moment, you don't want that to change. And I have to honestly say, the only other time I've ever felt like that in my life was like my senior year in high school with my friends, you know, when I was like kind of afraid of like us all going our separate ways. But like, I really couldn't see it either because we were so like enmeshed with each other. And I wouldn't say that my friends and my family are enmeshed right now. Enmeshed? That's the word I'm looking for. Why can't I think of what it is? But I think like, I'm very content with all of my relationships right now with my husband, you know, with Tanya, with my sponsor, with everybody in my life, with Melissa and Jason. You know, we went to dinner with them the other night, like, you know, getting ready to go on this trip, my book, the things I'm looking forward to in my life. I mean, I feel like I'm very content right now with where I'm at, you know, you know. I think that really the work that I've done to get to a point of having peace and serenity in my life, you know, I remember years ago, I'm kind of like switching subjects, but I can remember years ago in like Real Housewives of Orange County, Vicki was the one that termed that phrase, or I think she read it maybe in the 5 Love Languages, like my love tank isn't filled, or she said something to whoever she was with at the time, like you're not filling my love tank. But I think that like in life, you have to, I think we have different tanks, you know? And I think it's important for me to have like this tank full of peace and serenity that then when things happen, like my uncle passing away, or, you know, PP's like heart stuff and needing to be on medicine, when that stuff happens that are these, you know, big deals in my life, then I have that kind of surplus, you know, tank of peace and serenity to kind of fall back on, which is nice. I didn't have that back in the day. So when stuff happened to me, I either just went numb or I just kind of got chaotic, you know? And I don't do that today. It was funny because Tanya and I were driving around tonight and she said something to me about that. And she's like, I remember back in the day, we'd be in a car and you just wouldn't stop talking. I was like, she's like, you're so calm all the time anymore. I don't know what it is, you know, like maybe I'm going through the change of life or something. But honestly, like I just feel calm all the time, you know? And there's a difference. I don't feel numb at all. I feel like I'm having real emotions about real things in my life, you know? And I'm happy about that, you know, that for once I can like look at stuff and have real human emotions about it, but know that I don't have to overreact and I don't have to go crazy about it, and I can just, you know, be okay with life. I think maybe that's the trick. I don't know. And I hope I can maintain that. You know, it's not like I'm gonna be like that forever, but maybe I will. I don't know. All I know is that, you know, like, the whole idea of recovery, of taking one day at a time, has really saved my ass for 23 and a half years. 23 years and 8 months, as of this upcoming week. And yeah, 8 months. I'm gonna pull into this little spot right here. I'll tell you guys something interesting. I'm like pulling in front of this. I'm in that cute little town again. So I have this sobriety app that anybody can get. It's like this 12-step app. Do you guys want to know? I have been sober, as of right now, this moment, 23.64 years, 283.80 months, 8,639 days, and 310 hours. Isn't that crazy? 200,000 hours I've been sober. God. And man, when I got sober, it was so day by day, minute by minute. You know, some hours I thought I would never get through. You know, when people ask me, like, that's like one of the hardest questions for me to answer to people. It's like, well, they were like, how did you get through the cravings? Like, how did you do early? So I don't know. Like, I really don't. Like, I so, like, just did what people told me to do. I was so terrified of relapsing because I had done it so many times before. You know, I had gone through outpatient programs. I had gone through treatment programs. And I would... You know, I would say 80% of the time I wasn't serious about it, but I wanted to stay sober for a while. A lot of those times, you know, whether it was for probation or whatever it was for, I wanted to stay sober for a little while because I was like, I got to do this thing. And then I wouldn't stay sober, you know? And I can remember thinking to myself, God, I couldn't even do it for, like, you know, I said I was going to do it till I got off probation. Oh, fuck it, you know, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. And as long as they don't catch me, you know, and then I violate probation or something. But like, that's how I thought. And I never really thought of it like, you can't stay sober. Like, you know, you set this time limit for yourself that you're going to do it during the outpatient program. And I remember I was in this outpatient program one time. Oh my God, I was so pissed. I think I was like 19 at the time. It was whenever I got my last DUI. So 19 or 20, I think 20. And it was before I was 21. Yeah, because, okay, so it was my friend's birthday that I got arrested on when she was 21, and she's a year ahead of me. This is my friend that I went to elementary and junior high. I was a designated driver that night. That's how I remember. Okay, so that's weird. I've never thought about when I got my last DUI, and I know her birthday by heart, so I've always known when the last night I got arrested was. I don't know why that just occurred to me. But anyway, so... her birthday was August, so 26 years ago, like this week, 26 years ago was the last time that I got arrested, I think. And I'm almost positive it was like her birthday, so I'll have to look it up. I have the arrest record at home. Anyway, God, what a mess that was. And so that was in August, and then I would have turned 21 the following June. So it was then that I got arrested. So I was 20 the last time. And what was I even saying? Oh, so I was in this outpatient program. Well, to be in this adult outpatient program, we had to have a family member come with us. And there was like 10 people in our group. And yeah, like 8 or 10. And so I was the only one that was young. It was all like adult men. And so they had their wives with them, right? And so my dad would come with me once a week to family group, and we would have like this group and all this kind of stuff. And I still remember my counselor. He's a really nice guy. He's a Mike guy. And we would have this little group, and I could see the group room in there. It was this really small group room that we would sit in, all 10 of us, and we would go around, and, you know, they'd say, how are you doing? Man, I had that stuff, you know. I was like, well, I'm going to meetings, I'm doing this. I had it all figured out. I had it all memorized. I told them everything they wanted to hear. And what always kills me about people that say, like, oh, I know what to say, or, like, they know what to say to treatment programs or whatever. Yeah, sure, we all do. Once you go through it once, you know exactly what people are looking for, but really the only person you're screwing is you. You're not screwing anybody else, okay? True story. Here, let's find out about that one. So, about 3 or 4 weekends before it was over, I went with my friend to her dad's cabin in southern Indiana. A bunch of us went down there. And we were playing, we were playing some drinking game, and I was just drinking soda. Like, I seriously wasn't drinking through this whole outpatient program, because I was on probation, and I was like, I'm gonna make it through this outpatient program successfully. I'm not gonna get in trouble, blah, 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 whatever. Oh no, it had to have been earlier than that. It had to have been like halfway through this outpatient program. But I was really convinced I was gonna make it through this outpatient program without drinking. So, yeah, it was like halfway through, and I went down to my friend's cabin with her, and everybody was like, can't you just have one drink? Can't you just have one beer? Because I was playing this drinking game with Coke. Have you ever played a drinking game with Coca-Cola? It's boring. So anyway, it's stupid. Taking, you know, like I never and stuff like that. So anyway, my friend was like, no, he can't drink. He can't drink. And I was like, finally, I was like, girl, I can have a beer, okay? One beer's not gonna kill me. And she was like, no, you really can't. Oh my God. I got so blacked out drunk that weekend. I was so terrified I was gonna get drug screened. I didn't even get drug screened that following week. Well, after that, I started drinking. Like, my dad would like take me home on Thursdays. I feel like I didn't have a car then. I must not have had a car then, because my friend would come over, my friend Kim, and we would go to the liquor store. She was older too. She was like 2 or 3 years older. And we would come back to my apartment. And we would just get skunk drunk. And, but we would only drink on Thursdays because, okay, it ran out of time. We would only drink on Thursdays because I wanted Friday and Saturday and Sunday for it to be out of my system in case I would, get drug tested on Monday, and because I was in like IOP like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. IOP is intensive outpatient. I was terrified that I was gonna get, you know, test positive. I was not smoking pot or anything like that though, or using any other drugs. I was just drinking. Not that that's okay, but I'm just saying, like, that's why I was just worried about the alcohol, because I knew that it took 24 to 48 hours to get it out of your system. I mean to tell you, there were some Sundays that I was like running on treadmills and stuff to get that shit out of my system, because I was so worried about it. But I kept to that. I only drank on Thursdays, but I drank consistently through the rest of that program every Thursday. Kim and I, Thursday nights, we were wasted. And I remember when I graduated from that program, like, we got this coin and we passed it around, you know, everybody said stuff, and we walked out. My dad was like really proud of me, and he was like, I'm so proud of you, like, you've done really good, you know, this program. I go, yeah, I deserve an Oscar. And he goes, my dad's very sarcastic, so I thought, you know, he would think it was funny too. And he goes, what are you talking about? And I go, well, I mean, like, I haven't really been sober, like, I've been drinking this whole time. He was like, are you kidding me? And I was like, yeah, I've been drinking this whole time. And he was like, I have moved board meetings around. I have done all this kind of stuff so that I could be here for your family night, and you've been fucking drinking the whole time. Like, this is how serious you take your own stuff. He goes, you know what, kiddo? He goes, I'm out. And he was so done. And so, like, between then and when I got sober, like, my dad enabled me a lot, but he was kind of, it was different after that. Like, he was kind of checked out after that. He was really kind of just, I think he was disheartened, you know, by the whole thing. And when I made amends to my dad My dad and my stepmom were very easy because they were a living amends, which a lot of people don't agree with, but they basically said, if you never pick up again as long as you live and you take care of your own business and whatever, then we'll be proud of you. And my dad was like, I just don't want to have to worry about you. And my stepmom's sobbing the whole time I'm making my amends to her, you know? And when you make amends to somebody, you sit down and you don't say, I'm sorry. The word I'm sorry those words meant absolutely nothing to my dad by the time I got sober. In fact, they were two of his least favorite words. And he would say to me, I just talked about this in a Tana Mojo video not too long ago. He would say to me, when you say I'm sorry, what you're really saying is forget what I just did. You want me just to forget everything that you did. But see, you've already impacted me by your behavior. So what I want you to do is start thinking through what you're doing before you do it to have to say I'm sorry for it. Because you don't realize how you're affecting us. But when we make amends to somebody, we don't just say I'm sorry. Okay? We sit down and we say, I need to take responsibility for my past behaviors and my actions. And this is what I did. And this is how I'm gonna make it right. And, I want you to know that I'm a changed person today and blah, blah, blah. You explain it. And then you say, am I leaving anything out? How can I make this right to you? You put it in the other person's hands, okay? You ask them. Now, for me, today, in 2018, people saying I'm sorry to me, I'm kind of like my dad. It doesn't mean a whole lot. Not at all. You want me to believe you're a changed person today? Ask me what I want you to do. Ask me what I think would make it okay for me, because you're the one that hurt me. Does that make sense? And I think that a lot of times people continue to repeat the same behaviors over and over and over again because there's no accountability to the person that they harmed. And that's really, I believe, why the amends process really does work. And I'm telling you right now, when I looked at my dad and my stepmom and I said, okay, so what can I do to make it right? My dad was like, I want you to see an itemized, we wrote up an itemized idea of how much money you've spent drinking and drugging and how much money through attorneys, cars, treatment programs, therapists, money I've given you, on and on and on. You've spent the last couple of years just on drugs and alcohol alone. I want you to know that. And let me gulp real quick, okay? So he said to me, as long as you stay sober, you don't have to pay a cent of that. Well, flash forward 23 years and Peter done got him a new sponsor, right? And she don't buy that shit. She goes, no, you're gonna make financial amends to your dad. She goes, it's time for you to pay your dad back. I'm like, yep, I'm right, I agree. She's like, you know what? She's like, you and your dad have a great relationship today. She goes, it is time for you to pay your dad back. So I go, honestly, if I sit down with my dad, she goes, honestly, if you sit down with your dad, and because she knows my dad, she's like, honestly, if you sit down with your dad and you say to him, okay, Dad, like, I need to make this financial amends to him. She goes, I know he's going to say, okay, when do we start? She goes, I know that. So that's something I have to do because I want to clean all of that past, I want it done with. And so it's not like I can write him, like a lump sum check all at once. Obviously, I can't do that. But to pay a little bit of it here and there, to show the action towards it. But my dad and my stepmom did not let me off easy. They were like, here's what a living amends looks like. My dad was also very versed in the language by that point of recovery. And he was like, here's a living amends. Here's what we want it to look like. You will never pick up again. You will never use. If you do, we don't want anything to do with you. But if you want us to believe you're a changed person, no more any of this kind of stuff. And thus far, I've done that, and we have a good relationship today, and they promised us that in sobriety, that relationships will be repaired, and you'll become a different person, and, there's nothing that you can't fix. I'm so thankful for sobriety, and that's where, like, when people ask me, like, if you could go back in your life and not use drugs and alcohol, would you? And I'm like, I don't know, like, I wouldn't have the condition of my life that I have today if it wasn't for my sobriety. Like, I wouldn't have the relation. I don't know what my dad and I's relationship would look like today had I never used drugs and alcohol. You know what I mean? So I can't say if I would take that back. I know that my marriage wouldn't be what it is. I wouldn't have Tanya in my life. So no, I don't think that I would go back and change anything. It's kind of scary to me sometimes when I think about that person that I was right before I got sober. And I've talked about it, you know, in my recovery videos, and I've written blogs about it and stuff, but like in my head, like I can see that person, you know? And he wasn't a very nice person. I wouldn't say like I was like evil to the core. I just was selfish. You know, I just was selfish and self-centered, which is the root of our disease. And I just, you know, like, I didn't really, like, what made me a really ugly person was really that I didn't really care how it affected you. I didn't care what I did, how it affected you. I didn't really think I was affecting a lot of people, honestly. But if I took 20 or 40 bucks from you and I didn't think you'd know about it, who got hurt, you know? If I put myself in dangerous situations where a guy's got his gun a gun in my mouth, telling me to give head to a gun, and he's gonna blow my head off, and it's a cocked gun, and I don't give a shit because I'm just trying to get some rock. I'm not thinking about the fact that my dad might have to go and identify a body with his head blown off, you know? I'm not thinking about that shit. When I'm living in, you know, some seedy ass crack house for 2 or 3 days, I'm not thinking about what if I never make it out of here, and what if my dad comes and finds me? I mean, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about how my parents would have lived if they had an only child that died, you know? I didn't think about that of this disease. I was selfish. I didn't care. And see, the way I thought was, with this charmed life that I had been given growing up, if you had the life that I had, you'd use too. Like, if you had all the shit in my life that you had, man, you'd use too. And that's why I try real hard today. Man, this woman is walking down the street. She just cuts in. She's talking on her phone. She just cut. Do you hear this? You hear her? She's like this, walking down the street. She reminds me of that girl from Orange is the New Black, that Pennsatucky girl. Anyway, that's how I felt. I felt entitled. One of the most important things for me in my sobriety has been really taking a look at the bullying that happened to me in my life. And that's some hateful shit that happened to me. You know, it still haunts itself with me a lot. And, you know, recently in talking to my counselor, you know, he brought up to me, he goes, do you think that you ever maybe suffered some PTSD as a result of the bullying? And I said no. Like, immediately I said no. He goes, are you sure about that? He goes, you don't think that, you know, like the bullying that occurred to you, occurred when you were growing up, that you maybe had some PTSD from that? I go, listen, I don't need one more thing thrown at me, you know, whatever, maybe. He goes, I think you really minimize the effect that that had on you. Well, that might be true, but I've really worked hard on trying to look at it compassionately from the bully's point of view. And like I've talked about here, I mean, I was bullied by a lot of people, a lot. But the one person that was like my biggest bully, he and I have like worked things out, and I think he's a great guy today, and I consider him a friend. I mean, to go from my biggest bully to my friend, like, that's saying something, right? But I could no longer say, if you had my life then. So for me to not be able to say that, I had to change things in my life, if that makes sense. I had to work out my attitude about having been bullied. Because I couldn't use that as an excuse anymore. Does that make sense? Like, there's a lot of people that are bullied that do not go to drugs and alcohol. There's a lot of people that get bullied that go to a lot worse things, and I'm thankful that I'm still sitting here today, and that never crossed my mind. Breaks my heart. Breaks my heart for some of these children out there today, you know? Like, and I think we live in a different generation. I mean, I could get into a whole thing about cyberbullying and bullying and stuff like that, but, you know, I had to really take a look at my life and say, you know what, you had some bad shit happen to you, but no, it's not, you know, I always, like, I did that video when, you know, like, you always lose by comparison. There's always somebody that's had it worse than you there's always somebody that had it better than you. But man, I just was not a nice person, you know? And I indirectly hurt people that I didn't mean to hurt. It wasn't intentional. You know, to find out later that my mom was like, I mean, she had these fears that like were never even realized, that like I would show up at her door in the middle of the night. I never did that, never once. She's like, I was always afraid you show up and I slept with my purse underneath my pillow. I'm like, seriously? I'm like, what movie on Lifetime were you watching? You know what I mean? Like, I never did that, never once. I never even stole from my mom. I'm like thinking, did I? I always stole from my dad. I didn't steal from my mom. She never had any cash. She never had more than $5 in ones in her purse. And that doesn't make it right, but I'm saying I just never stole from her. Hell, I borrowed $5 from her one time because I told her, oh, she never let me forget this. This is kind of funny, honestly. I said I wanted to write my dad a story or make him a card or something for Father's Day. And so I asked her to borrow some money so I could buy like printer paper. And she was like, okay, but I want to see the receipt. Well, I never gave her the receipt, probably because I bought a pack of cigarettes with it or something like that. And I mean, seriously, to like the day that she died, like, I mean, like the last year of her life, she would bring up that paper. She'd be like, if I said something to her, she'd be like, well, I mean, I did loan you that $5 that one time. I'm like, yeah. It's like I had this tree house in the woods that I grew up in. We used to always play in this tree house. And I can't believe I just remembered this. And so like one time we were like cutting rope out there to make like a swing. And I asked my mom to borrow some scissors, and we must not have ever brought back the scissors or something like that. Because I mean, to tell you, and I was probably 8 or 9 when that happened, okay? Every time after that, if I said to my mom, I mean, I'm 30, okay, and I'm wrapping presents at my mom's house. Mom, do you have some scissors here I can use? Well, I don't really want to give you my good scissors because the last time you took them out to the woods and you lost them. I mean, my mother, she did not forget anything, seriously. Oh, I forgot about those scissors. Do you have stuff like that your parents just don't ever forget? Like, they just do not forget. We went, my dad and my stepmom and I went to St. Martin this one year, and our luggage got lost on the way there. And I think it was St. Martin. Anyway, our luggage got lost, and we had to like, it was very much that vacation, you know, where they go shopping, they buy all the clothes, I mean, but not as glamorous. And so we went to town, and we bought, I mean, seriously, we could go over to dinner tonight, and my dad would bring up this story with Alex. Alex has heard this story like 5 times. So embarrassing. It's stupid, but it's embarrassing. So we go shopping for stuff, and for some reason we went in some store, it was some French store, and they had this like guy's bathing suit that had pineapples on it. Today people would love this shit, okay, but this is when I was like in junior high or early high school. But I got like this pants and shirt that matched, that had like pineapples all over them. And I got this like, I think it was pineapples. And I got this bathing suit that had pineapples all over it. My dad was like, yeah, sure, if that's what you want, you can get it. I have not heard the end of that stupid pineapple outfit to this day. I mean, he and my stepmom think it's the funniest story in the entire world about this this pineapple outfit that I had to have. I can still see it. It was like, I think it was pineapples, but it was like, the shirt was like a polo shirt. Like, it had a white collar, but like the sleeves were like cotton. And had this print all over it. It looked like pajamas. My dad, those pineapple pajamas, do you remember that? Thinks it's so funny. I'm like, yeah, I've heard that story 1,000 times now. Do we need to hear that anymore? Well, it's kind of funny. I always think of like when I talk to people about sobriety that don't really understand it, I always say, you know, like, because they'll be like, oh, you were a different person. And I'm like, I was a different person, but what I really think is like, somewhere along the way, I'm like, if it's like you're going down the road in the middle of the desert, right? Let's say you're going west, and you can see the mountain in the distance, and somewhere along the way, you get off the highway and you're out in the desert, right? And there's prickly cactus out there, and you're just getting beat up, you're dehydrated. And you go, and you're kind of like zigzagging this way through the desert, right? And maybe I got off into the desert when I was 12 or 13. Well, when I get back on the road, I'm 23 and a half. But I'm not gonna like get right back on the road where I was before. I'm gonna be farther down the road. So I'm gonna have grown up a little bit, but I'm also gonna be a little bit beaten up, if that makes sense, you know, from the desert and the wear and tear of the desert. But when I get back on the road, I'm still going in the same direction. I'm still the same person somewhere in there. It's just finding the consistency of who I was. And so it's not like you're two completely different people. But when I think about that, like, selfishness and that self-centeredness, you know, like, that's why it is important that I have my sponsor to talk to and say, like, okay, do you think that this is a character defect of mine coming out? What do I need to do to fix it? She always usually says do the opposite, you know? So if I'm doing something selfish, I need to do something selfless. You know, if I'm being impatient, I need to practice patience and, you know, wait in line and allow people to go ahead of me. It's just not that deep, these things, you know? And I think at the end of the day, don't we all want to improve as people? I know I do. And so I'm willing to do that work. Tanya and I were talking about that tonight. She's like, why do you think in the last 2 years, like, you've really made it, like, your intention to, like, really work on all of these kind of issues? I said, I don't know, Tanya. Like, you know, that I see all these people around me that are like, get to the top of the game with your career, do this, do this, do that. They're so driven, but they seem so unhappy, you know? Like, they don't have, like, internal peace and serenity. They don't seem happy. They don't seem loving, kind, and compassionate. They're just driven, 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 driven. And I do know people that are very successful career-wise, but very happy too, and very serene. A few, you know? And those are the people that I look at and I think, okay, what do they have figured out, you know? It's interesting to me because I know this guy in recovery. He's a friend of mine. He's very, very successful in his business. But he's also very involved in a 12-step program. And he and his wife, like, go to counseling. And she's, like, real involved in Al-Anon. And, like, he's very active in his church. You know, and he's just a good guy. Like, he's a really good guy. And I kind of look at him like, he's kind of, like, nerdy. And I always kind of, like, would joke with Tanya. I'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm sure he has, like, some serious story, right? No lie, when I heard this dude's story, I was like, when I heard him give his lead, I was blown away. I was like, there is no way. And now, you know, and I think, like, that's the power of sobriety. It's the power of changing your life, even if you're not an addict and an alcoholic. That's the power of, you know, removing resentment from your life and cleaning up the wreckage of your past. Like, truly, like, that's what it does, you know? It's like righting wrongs and, you know, doing what you can to be a better person and remaining teachable and all that stuff. It's like you become, like, this better, newer version of yourself that's shinier and stuff. I was, like, reaching up, trying to situate this thing, and I messed it up. But anyway, I get so many messages from people saying, you know, I wish I was sober and I had a 12-step program. You don't have to have a 12-step program to fix these basic tenets in your life. You know, like honesty, you know, open-mindedness, willingness, you know, being teachable, doing an inventory of your life and looking at, are there people in my life that I've harmed? You know, what do I need to do to make it right? If I go back and I intervene, at this point, is it going to be more disruptive than if I just let it be? Are there other ways for me to make that right, you know? What can I do? If people have passed away that I wronged, can I write a letter? Can I do some, you know, volunteer service? Can I donate to a charity? Can I work on my character defects of, like, who I am as a person? You know, I struggle with anger, rage, you know, deceit, lack of patience. You know, what is it? You know, we can all look at those things and work on them. You don't have to be a person, you know, that's sober or in recovery. And then, you know, look at kind of taking an inventory on a daily basis and then, you know, practicing some kind of spirituality and then giving back to the world, you know, as a result of being a changed person, giving back to the world. Simple. It's not deep, you know. Some of the people that I have seen that have the strongest sobriety and have been sober the longest time are some of the most simple people you will ever meet in your entire life, honest to God. Like, they're just really simple people. It's just, it doesn't go real deep. You know, it's just not that deep. So, anyway, I think this has been, like, almost an hour. And my vlogs the last couple nights have been, like, long. So, I'm going to get off here. And, I hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.